I'll watch it here on my phone as well.
Okay,
So, shall we?
we shall.
So, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our second ever live. I posted just randomly on our Instagram some questions the other day about how people were coping and what they were doing to help others. And Nadia popped up in our lives, and she said, "Hey, I do breathwork, and I'd love to help out and show you guys what it's all about." Just in case anyone finds it useful in these crazy times that we're feeling now. So I thought it would be the perfect opportunity for us to, get a little bit clearer on breathing, I suppose. It's one of those things that we take for granted, isn't it? When people say, "Oh, you're not breathing properly," and it's like, "No, but I am. I'm breathing. I'm always breathing." But I don't think we ever really take the time to really make use of this amazing apparatus that we've been gifted and use it to its full potential. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what breathwork is. Nadia is going to help us understand how we can use it for lots of different things. Nadia will tell us more. And then just a couple of little demonstrations. So what we'll do is have this as an introduction, and then Nadia has already kindly said that she will run a full breathwork session with us, which will be, I think you said, between sort of half an hour session at another time, once we've done this little introduction, which I think will be really useful. And then we do have time for some questions, so if you want to drop your questions now, put your name and then the question, just because at the moment I can only see anonymous questions, and I want to say hi to you guys. I don't even know who's there. We could be talking to ourselves. But yeah, let's dive right in. So Nadia, tell us, what is breathwork?
Right, so maybe I'll start with a little introduction on myself and how I found breathwork. I think it's always good when you can connect with someone, so you can understand where the journey has taken them as well. So I've sort of been on this journey since I was 17. So it's been many years. I won't give away my age, but I came from quite a troubled childhood, I would say, as such. And I was always looking for the answers. I was always looking for how can I cope? How can I heal? What can I do so that I can break the cycles which have been there for generations? And so through my journey, I've done a lot of modalities. It's taken me all around the world, from your meditation to your vipassanas, to your hypnotherapies, to plant medicine as well. So I've been everywhere. I've done everything, and I came across breathwork about 4 years ago, and I can say that it changed my life in more ways than I imagined. I would say the healing that I've received from sort of breathwork, one session, a full session of breathwork, they say gives you the equivalent of maybe going to see your therapist 10 times. Because it works on such a deep level in terms of releasing trauma. It's been scientifically proven to help release PTSD, anxiety, and so that's sort of how I found breathwork. By day, I actually work in finance. So I'm a finance manager in an engineering company, very male-dominated industry. I find that this also helps me in my work, but I've always felt that I would love to help people to use the breath as well in their day-to-day lives, to overcome certain things, anxiety, stress, stuff we all basically deal with on a day-to-day basis. And I thought in this time now, interesting times, and all of us are working from home and social distancing, a lot of people are struggling and finding ways to cope, and sometimes it's just on the isolation itself. And I thought this is a great time to maybe be able to support anyone who needs support in any way. And that's why I commented on your post, and I've been following you and the great work you do for the community. So thank you for that. A little bit about breathwork. So what is breathwork is probably the first question that people have. And breathwork is literally any systematic, conscious breathing pattern. And there's so many out there. There's shamanic breath, there's holotropic breath, there's rebirthing. In yoga, you have pranayama. So you have so many different breaths, and all of them have great benefits. So some of the benefits, as I said, is helping people deal with anxiety, grief, emotional effects of, say, an illness, pain, trauma, PTSD. And these are some of the deeper, I would say, the sort of deeper things that breathwork can help you with. But the general basic physical benefits would be when you breathe properly, and we'll go through that in a little bit, you oxygenate all your body. So our general breathing, we only use about 20%, whereas we can breathe a lot deeper. So we oxygenate our body. It helps to alkalize your body, cells in your body, and it gives you more energy, mental clarity, focus, just simply through oxygenating the body as it should be. So these are just the very basic sort of benefits, health, physical benefits that you will see from just changing your breath patterns. And so I don't know if there's anyone on here listening to us, but
yeah, there are. We're not alone.
Yeah. But then I'd like to sort of maybe do a little exercise right now with whoever's on that, and it's more about how are we breathing. So let's get a sense of how we breathe every day. So it's a short exercise, and it's just going to help us to understand our breathing. So the first step of breath work is breath awareness. So if anyone who's on the call, you can do it with your eyes open, with your eyes closed, whatever feels comfortable. But the first step is to put one hand on your chest and the other on your belly, right? And just notice your breathing. So just breathe as you would normally. And how does it feel to breathe? Like, just ask yourself mentally, when you breathe, what moves? Are you a chest breather or are you a belly breather? Is your breathing fast and shallow? You can be both, yeah. Is your breathing fast and shallow, or is it slow and deep? Are there pauses in your breath? Is it a bit choppy? So if you can just take a minute to just breathe and observe your breathing. And you can put in the comments what you observe from your breathing, what you notice from your breathing.
I think now that I'm doing this, I don't know, consciously slowed down.
Your
I think
breathing,
before
this
isn't how I was breathing before, but now I'm kind of here doing it. I think it's made me a bit more like breathe.
Yeah. So, well, what I'd like to maybe encourage everyone over the next couple of days is to observe your breathing. Just practice breath awareness. So when you're feeling anxious, how are you breathing? When you're relaxing, how are you breathing? When you wake up in the morning, how are you breathing? So in different situations, as you go about your day, when you're in a meeting, when you're on a call, when you're dealing with your children, just consciously try and be aware of and ask yourself, how am I breathing? So where are you breathing?
Oh, no. I'm trying to look at the comments.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. So as I said, the first step to any breath work is breath awareness. And so I encourage everyone to try and practice breath awareness in your day-to-day, because the first step to anything is noticing how you're currently doing it. That awareness is super powerful. And the second part of any breath work is conscious breathing. So once you become aware of how you're breathing, you're able to consciously change that. Mm-hmm. And changing your breath is the fastest way to changing your state. So if you're anxious and you'll change your breath, you'll change your state. So I will go through a couple of easy breathing techniques that everyone can implement in their day-to-day, that will immediately help you change from that anxiety, from that stress, from things you can do on a daily basis with just your breath. But I thought I wouldn't go too much into the science of breathwork, but I did think I would just touch on it slightly. Mm-hmm. So basically, we all have a nervous system, and our nervous system, which we're all aware of, it's actually divided into your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. And so your sympathetic nervous system is your flight or fight. So when you need something done, when you're stressed or you want something, that is the nervous system that gets activated. And then once you come down from that fight or flight, and you're supposed to relax, what should happen, which doesn't happen with a lot of people, is that your parasympathetic nervous system takes over, and it's supposed to calm you down, regulate your breathing, reduce inflammation in your body, take you back to your resting digestive rate, regulate your heart rate, and so on. And what happens, so basically the parasympathetic nervous system is there to repair and restore your body. What happens though is a lot of us are constantly in your flight or fight state. And it's very common if you've ever experienced any form of trauma or stress, chronic stress, you're always in this. So your sympathetic nervous system is overactive and your parasympathetic nervous system is underactive. Mm-hmm. And so basically what conscious breathing or what breathwork does is help you to engage your parasympathetic nervous system so that you can go back to that resting your resting heart rate, your resting digestive system, so you can calm down. And basically, in summary, there's a lot more science to it, but I don't want to go too technical where we lose everyone. But this is the generally how breathwork works. And then we can go into emotions. We have a nerve called they call it the vagus nerve, which connects from your brain, and it sends down information to all parts of your body and your organs. And through science and through studies, they found that the breath controls how this information is passed into the rest of your body. So by changing the pattern of breathing, we can change the pattern of information being sent to our brain and the rest of our body. Okay. And so therefore, that's how you're saying people have a lot of great benefits, like the release of anxiety through breathwork, or overcoming trauma, PTSD, or so on and so forth. So that's just a little bit about breathwork. I do want to talk about 2 and maybe 3 sort of breathwork techniques that you can use every day, and if you can, things people can implement right away. So the first one is what we call the heart coherence breath, and the heart coherence breath basically not only calms your nervous system, so activates your parasympathetic nervous system, but it basically, as they say, your heart starts to align with sort of like your emotions, your feelings, like the rest of your body and stuff. So it kind of brings you into alignment with yourself. And what the heart coherence breath is you basically have 6 breaths a minute. So that means each breath is 10 seconds. And how you go about that is you inhale for 5 seconds, you exhale for 5 seconds. And so if you were counting in your head, and we may do a few together here, but if you're counting in your head, you would say to yourself, inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. So you should be able to do 6 breaths a minute, so 10 seconds, 60 seconds, so 6 breaths a minute, and you should be able, or you want to try and work up to doing 5 minutes a day of that, okay, 3 times a day. Okay. So you could do it first thing when you wake up in the morning, and you can do it midday before you have your lunch, or after your lunch, or when you're having your afternoon tea, and you probably want to try and do it before you go to bed as well. It's also very beneficial if before you start to do the breath, you set a conscious intention and you frame it as an affirmation. So it could be something like, every conscious breath makes me stronger, healthier, and more alive. And so before you go about doing this practice and making it part of your daily ritual, you have this affirmation. Now, this can be anything that you want. So if there's something you're dealing with in your day-to-day, and you sort of want to make an affirmation around overcoming that, then by all means, you make an affirmation that feels good to you when you say it out loud. And so basically, that's what I'd recommend. So we can try the heart coherence breath now. We'll try and do 6 breaths, so we'll do a minute. I'm happy to count while the rest of you breathe. So if everyone sort of gets ready. I forgot to say, so the inhale is through the nose. So we inhale for 5. The exhale is through the mouth, but it's with, like you're saying, a shh sound. So you inhale and you exhale like you are blowing bubbles through a straw. Right? So you inhale. So it would kind of look like. Yeah. So as if you were blowing bubbles through a straw, and that's basically what the breath is. So I'll count us for 6 breaths now. So everyone feel free to join in. And if you find that 5 seconds is too long, feel free to alter that to less. So if you find that you can only do 4 seconds, so 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, or 3, you can start off with that and slowly build on to getting to a 5 and 5. That's the ideal for this breath work, but you can always start where you are.
And is there a way we should be sitting? Should we be standing, or should we be lying? Should we have our eyes open, eyes closed?
There is no other sort of direction. It's what feels comfortable for you. So if you want to do it lying down, you can do it in the morning when you're in bed. You can do it in the car when you're driving somewhere. You can do it at your desk. You can do it wherever you are. And that's the beauty of using the breath as well, because you're breathing all the time, right? So you alter your breath and you alter like your state. So there is no other rule apart from be comfortable. Mm-hmm. Of course, we don't, be comfortable and just breathe as it should be. Just listen to your body and in your breath. If something comes up while you're breathing, take note of it, because you may start breathing and all of a sudden you're like 3 minutes in, you have this random thought and you're like, what is this thought? Just take note on it so you can reflect later. So there is no other rule beside the basic, which is breathe in for 5, breathe out for 5. And again, I really encourage 3 times a day. It's 6 breaths a minute and 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes each time. And definitely you'll see great benefits if you can obviously just put this into practice. So maybe we can try now.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do this.
Okay, so if everyone's ready, so I will count. So it's inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's sort of how the breath goes. And obviously we just did about a minute there. You'll find, a lot of people will find it interrupts the chatter in your mind. Mm-hmm. So if you're about to go into a meeting and you have all sort of things in your head, or you're nervous, and if you just take 5 minutes to practice this breath, it completely interrupts all those thoughts that you have. It helps you to feel more focused, mental clarity. We just did a minute there, but if you can go away and practice yourself before you go to bed, even tonight, and do a full 5 minutes. And then obviously feel free to write back in the group so we can see your comments and how it made you feel, even if there are any comments right now on that small exercise.
So I think, well, it went really quickly. That didn't feel like a minute. I think when you're sort of, I don't know, focusing on something else, and I definitely feel like kind of just came down. Kind of where I was at, just came down a little below. Graham was saying that he's been doing this to help him with his panic attack disorder, which I can definitely see the benefit of having, 1, something to focus on, 2, that kind of oxygen coming in and coming out, and that sort of process for you to align something to that kind of makes sense, right? That
Yeah.
would definitely be a good thing to put into practice. I just remembered as well. So I've got an Apple Watch, and there's a breathe functionality. Oh, where's
Yeah.
the camera?
Yeah.
On here, so you can kind of set it to. Oh, it's gone off. You can set it to a certain amount of minutes, and you can set the amount of breaths. And I actually put this on because I get really bad anxiety when I'm driving. Most of the time because I'm always late for everything, so the two collide. So I use this when I'm kind of driving, so I can kind of keep calm, because then obviously that's going to escalate into accidents and all the rest of the things. So technology is actually, because it does the
Yeah.
counting bit, it kind of like ticks, it goes like
Yeah.
which is it's like having you on my wrist.
Yeah, and I think it's great as well that some of these functionalities are built into technology, because we actually do forget to breathe. And, like you're in the middle of doing something and you'll hold your breath, and you find like you hold your breath doing some things. So I think it's good that technology sometimes reminds you, hey, it's time to breathe. So you can use your watch to set times. If you can try the 5 minutes a day that we spoke about, the 6 breaths a minute, 3 times a day. If you can set your watch to remind you, people can set timers on their phone. When I first started, that's what I did. I would set alarms in my phone to remind me, okay, stop and do your breathing. And of course, doing it straight away, you do it for 5 minutes, you have great benefits. But if you can make it a ritual, if you can make it a practice where you consciously do it for at least the 3 times a day, if you can maybe start by saying, right, I'm going to commit to doing this for the next 7 days, and then notice the benefits, because it's compounding benefits of this. So yes, I can do it right now and I'll feel great, and I'll notice like, right, it helped me to calm down, it helped me to shut the chatter off in my mind. I feel like I'm more connected in my body now. But it's that compounded practice of keep doing it, because it then starts to become more normal in your breathing. And you start to realize you're breathing deeper, and so on. So I think if you can make it more of a practice, that always helps, especially in times like now, where there's a lot going on, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of stress and panic. This is a good one to help you just recenter.
Yeah, I think if there's anybody that wants to sort of be part of a little, I don't know, breathing club, we can like comment in the comments below, and then we can organise like a little, I don't know, a session where we can hold ourselves a little bit more accountable. Maybe, like you said, let's try this 7 days and see how we feel kind of from there.
Yeah.
That could be quite cool.
Yeah. And then another breath pattern, which is easy to use as well, just like this one that you can use. Again, recommend that you do it 5 minutes a day, at least 3 times a day, is what we call the box breath. And what the box breath is, I'm sure people may have heard of it, but it's where you would breathe in for 4 seconds, you would hold your breath for 4 seconds, you'd breathe out for 4 seconds, and you would hold for 4 seconds. So it's literally, you would think of it as a box. So breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. So that's basically what we call the box breath. Again, something simple and easy to use, something that you can basically use anywhere, anytime, of course. And again, benefits of some of these are sort of the positive effects, like mentally, again, shutting off that chatter in your mind before a big meeting, before a big presentation, whatever it may be. This is also a good one to use. I tend to use the heart coherence breath a lot more than the box breath, but I find each of them to have just as much benefit for when you use them. So again, it's, if you find 4 seconds is too long, then start off with 2. So breathe in for 2, hold for 2, out for 2, hold for 2, and then slowly build up. As healthy adults, we should be able to breathe really slow, but we also should be able to breathe really fast. So we should be able to go from 6 breaths a minute, and sometimes we can go up to 100 breaths a minute. So it's just, again, there's so much around breathwork, but this is also a really good one for people to practice.
And is it always in through the nose and then out through this? What are we calling it? Blowing bubbles.
Yeah, like bubbles through a straw. It's not always like this. Again, at the end of the day, I always say to people, do what makes you feel comfortable. So if you're comfortable in through your nose and out through your nose, then by all means do that. If you're comfortable in through your mouth and out through your mouth, by all means do that. But ideally, what I always find most beneficial is when you breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. So in sort of the connected breath, which I said, if we had enough people interested, we could always do a breathwork session. That's a connected breath, and that's all through the mouth. So it depends on the different breath. But for these day-to-day breaths, you do what's comfortable for you, and that's always the most important thing. So it's what feels good to you. And I always say to people, if it doesn't feel good, you don't have to do it. So just basic rules.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That sounds easy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure if there are any questions so far. Comments.
I think there's a bit of a delay in the broadcast, and I don't know if it keeps cutting out a little bit. I'm sort of watching on here, which is a shame. But I think we'll have this video anyway to put in the group so people can watch it back in its entirety, which would be nice.
Yeah. And then another great practice which I found, especially in these times, helps is a morning breath practice. And again, this is something which I encourage people to start by doing maybe 7 days or 14 days in the morning, and it probably takes you a minute or 2 minutes to do the breaths, and then maybe 3 minutes maximum, and then to set aside 10 minutes where you either journal, draw, paint, do whatever you can to express what comes up in the breath. And this is a 28 breaths, and the breaths are the connected type of breath, which I was mentioning we would do in a breathwork session. And what I mean by connected breath is there's no pause between the inhale and the exhale, and there's no pause between each breath. So each breath leads into the next breath. It is a breath through the mouth. It is a deep belly breath, and I'll demonstrate it to you shortly. And I always kind of say to people, it feels like you're picking up a tissue paper and then dropping it. You're picking up a tissue paper and then dropping it. So the breath would be like, so I'm not sure if that's clear and people can see, but it's that sort of connected breath. So each breath leads into the next breath. And you do 28 of those breaths, which I said would generally take you about 2 minutes, maximum 3 minutes. And then you sit to journal for 10 minutes. And you set a timer for these 10 minutes. And whatever it is that wants to come out on the page, you allow it to come out. Some people like to paint. Some people like to draw. Some people like to write. Whatever it is, you just sort of get expressing. And practicing this in the morning, actually, I'm not sure if people have heard, it's maybe just a different version of what people call the morning pages.
Okay.
And it's just like how you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is go to the washroom. But this is the same, but it's for our mind. And so the breath helps to bring that clarity in and to oxygenate your body and your mind as well. And so through this process, and the more you do it, you find you become more creative. You start to understand your thoughts more because you're putting it out on paper. And in all honesty, sometimes the thoughts are random. Like sometimes I'll write like, oh, I'm so grateful I have my dog. Oh, I really hate my boss. Like, it's just like, it's anything and everything that's in the mind, because there's a collective right now, especially we have a collective thought. So we have thoughts that are not even our thoughts, because it's just what's happening in the collective right now. Mm-hmm. And so this kind of exercise helps you to start to separate what's the collective thought and what's your thought as well, which I find to be extremely beneficial. And so this is again, something easy and quick that anyone can do anywhere. This one, not when you're driving, though, because you need time to sit and write, but it's something that anyone can do anywhere. And as I said, through your breath, you can change your state. Through your breath, you can change the way information is passed on to your brain and the rest of your body. And through your breath, and when you control all these emotions and you're able to control yourself, you're able to control the world around you, in the sense that if you can control yourself, what's happening on the outside doesn't really seem to matter. So especially in times right now where we're all coming together and supporting each other, I know people are struggling with anxiety, stress. There's talk of people losing their jobs. There's people are worried they're away from their families and they can't travel, and there's all this thing. So the breath can really help support you during this time, whether it's just silencing the chatter in your mind, whether it's that mental clarity, whether it's just actually tapping into your parasympathetic nervous system and fully relaxing and restoring and repairing your mind, your body, your soul, emotions. And I think that's a brief summary overall on breathwork.
Well, that's awesome. I can see, like, especially the morning thing, isn't it? And by the way, if anyone does have any questions, comment below. I think there is a little bit of a delay, so if we just hang around for a couple of minutes, then they might pop through. So let us know if you've got any questions. But yeah, I think there's something very productive, let's say, about having that morning routine down, and whatever it is that you're kind of going to do to start your day. You know, if you can start it in the right way, and this is again one of those options. You know, for some people it might be their hot water or lemon, or it might be their run, or it might be whatever it is their jam. But this feels like it's quite an easy one to do, quite an easy one to just kind of. You don't need to have trainers. You don't need to. There's no real excuses that are going to be able to stop you from breathing.
Yeah. And sometimes you find you'll do your breath work and you'll sort of get stuff out on paper, and then or sometimes you draw and you paint and you're so creative and stuff, and somehow sometimes it just gives you the energy. You're like, right, you know what, I've done my breath work, that's it, I'm going for a run now, because again, it's that transfer of information in your body. Your body slowed down. You all of a sudden find like, oh, actually, I'm not as tired as I thought I was when I woke up, and so it's a great practice. It's one that I do almost religiously. Of course, there are times and there's periods where I don't do it, but I always find it's something that I can easily come back to, and it's such a great way to start the day.
I suppose it's that there's a little bit of curiosity that's needed in the beginning, because I think with any of these things, like, to quite a few people it would be like, oh, I don't have 10 minutes in the morning, I'm always late for work, but actually being curious and being like, well, what if, just for this week, or even just for this 5 days, this working week, what if I tried this, breathing exercise and journaling combo, let's kind of test it. And I think that curiosity is going to help, going to help just open our eyes a little bit to kind of other ways, because I think you sort of saying about living in that sort of constant state of go, 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 and having to be somewhere, we rarely take that time to be with ourselves and be quiet and be still, and I think we take breathing for granted. I really do. It is such an important function.
100%. I mean, the power the breath has, as well, as I said, in just sometimes tapping into emotions or trauma, or allowing you to really connect with yourself, and sometimes it's just a matter of slowing down your breaths, even if you're maybe not following box breath or coherence breath, heart coherence breath. It's just about slowing your breath down, and then just really asking yourself, what am I feeling? Or tapping into what's happening in your body. Is your body trying to tell you something? So sometimes it's just, I'm just going to slow down. I'm just going to lay here for a minute or 2 minutes, slow my breathing down, and really tap into and connect with yourself. Because we're all over the place a lot of the times. You're thinking, I've got to do this, I've got to go here, I have this to do tomorrow. What's happening with this? And just taking even that 1 or 2 minutes to just bring your body back to being centered, or back to connecting to yourself, it's amazing. It's amazing what you can achieve and what you find out about yourself, even through that simple practice of taking that 2 minutes a day to check in with yourself. So it's the breath's amazing, and I hope this has been helpful, and I hope like someone takes something away from it and puts it into practice, and experiences what I simply call the magic of the breath. Because when you use the breath, as I said, so much can change. You can transform your body, you can transform your emotions, your mind, helps you to connect deeper spiritually in whatever sense that may be. So I hope it was helpful, and I hope someone somewhere uses this, and I hope it benefits them.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's already kind of food for thought, planting those seeds in my my brain, so I'll definitely be joining you. And I suppose if there's anybody in the group that wants to, give us a try together, power in numbers, we can have a little side gang, little breathing club.
Yeah, why
and we
not?
can try this out, do a little bit of a 7-day challenge. And yeah, we'd love it if you would come back sometime soon and do one of the full breathwork sessions with us. Do you think it's going to work well in this digital world that we're in now?
So I generally support a lot of people using Zoom.
Okay.
And Zoom works well with obviously sharing music and stuff. But if we can figure out sort of music on here, that would be amazing. I'm happy to do it here. I'm happy for people to support and have the experience. It's definitely something that you probably have never, if you've never done breathwork and you do it for the first time, there are people who think like, wow, that was incredible. I went to different parts of myself that weren't there. It's generally 30 to 40 minutes for beginners, and then obviously as the more you do it, you're able to go longer. So like sometimes I have people who breathe like for an hour, and like an hour 10 minutes, and of course that comes with time. But even you get as much benefit. I always say you get as much benefit from a 30-minute session than a 1 hour to a 1 hour session, because you always get what you need from the breath. And with the breath, it's all about trusting your inner healer, because I always say we can go for many years I looked for healing outside of myself. So I was looking for that therapist to give me the answers, to help me or whatever, or I was going to any sort of thing. And the thing that I loved about breath is that you learn to trust and rely on your inner healer, which is the most powerful thing that you can do, because no one else knows as well as you know yourself, and it's just really about connecting to there. So the session is 30 to 40 minutes, where I would say you'd be breathing for about 30 minutes. Again, it's that connected breath. It's guided by music. So, you have music to support the journey as well. And for anyone who's interested, and I'm happy for you to organize it, and I'm happy for us to come together, and for people to experience that. Of course, for that you would need to be in your home and not in your car, and you need to lie down. So just a few things to just keep into consideration. So it may be a case of doing it maybe slightly later than this time, so people have time to maybe settle kids or so on and so forth.
Cool. Okay. Well, I will gather the troops and we'll organise something which suits everybody and us. And already people are saying very helpful. Thank you so much. So yeah, I think it is. It's funny. There's like I want to start the beginner breathers. I want to begin to breathe. I think it will be really useful. Very, very useful. So. How do people contact you if they want to reach out and get more information? Do you want to? We can put your information in the comments.
Yeah. I know when you did tag me on Instagram, I had a few people request to follow me, to which I did respond to them and say, this is my private page.
Okay.
I will, however, maybe drop my email address or my Facebook as well. People can contact me via Facebook or Messenger. I am in the group, so they can feel free to reach out. Yeah. I can drop my email address, and if someone just drops me a messenger as well, I'm happy to exchange contacts if anyone needs support in any way regarding the breath. I'm happy to help and support and reach out. Yeah.
Amazing. Cool. So we will come back shortly with a beginner's breathwork session with the lovely Nadia, and we will breathe together. What could be more wonderful in these turbulent times?
Exactly.
So,
well, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was funny, isn't it? Just a spur of a moment thing has turned into a beautiful session, and you're going to be the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. And everyone who tuned in, obviously I can't see the comments right now, but I will have a look in the group, and if there's any questions, I can respond to them on there. And people who watch this later, if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments and you can tag me as well, and I'm happy to update. I will share my contacts as well on the thread.
Cool.
If that's okay. Yep.
Yeah, that's sensible. All right, thank you very much for your time, and yeah, we'll catch up really soon.
Yes, thank you so much.
And
Bye.
thank you everyone for tuning in, and for those watching on replay, we'll be back soon. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night. Bye.